Hi, everybody. Today I am here with Natalie Kennedy. Natalie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Natalie Kennedy, and I'm a native from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was in the military for 21 years at U.S. Navy, and my last duty station was in Florida. So I ended up in Florida, been here since a long time. If I tell you, then you'll really know how old I am. But I've been here, I'm kind of like a Floridian now, you know.
I've seen your eagle sign back there.
I'm still a Philadelphia Eagles fan no matter what. Die hard. Yes, that'll never go away. But came to Florida, and that's really when I began to start writing, of course. But had some, I was an air traffic controller for 21 years. So when I got out, I was like, what do I do? What job do I have? Because I went in when I was 17. So I did a lot of jobs, and in doing a lot of jobs, maybe we'll say 4 jobs, and doing those jobs, I met a whole lot of different people, and that helped inspire me to write as well. And then my last job, I worked for the VA, the Veterans Affairs, still writing, of course. And I just retired April the 30th from there,
Congratulations.
So thank you. It even gives me more time to write some more, meet a lot of different people. And that's how I get a lot of my ideals. And just doing my passion of community work that I just love to. Now I don't have to do it on Saturday and Sundays. I can do it any day of the week. Yay. And having a small bookstore now, kind of indie bookstore within a collective, and promoting other people's books as well as my own. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. When did you first start writing, and what genre do you write in?
Well, when I was probably when I was a little younger, if I can recall. Who wants to go back that far? But I know I was doing poetry, because that kind of like gives you a free way of expressing anything. A lot of times, you would think like Dr. Seuss, you would make the words rhyme at the end, but that's not really true. And I think my greatest class, or the best class ever, was English, and we did poetry and we did writing and all of that, and I just loved it. So I think poetry was about when I started just writing on pieces of paper or in a book or a diary or a journal, and I love that. Poems don't really sell that much, as I know now, but that's how I was able to express just me, my feelings. And that was early. We're talking maybe about 9 years old, probably started doing that. But, that's just writing. So, but when I really started like writing was when I went into the military, and just seeing all kinds of different people, bumping into different people, taking their words and putting it into a story, putting it into a poem, and then putting it aside, because military was my first priority. So it's like, I'm going to be a writer no, military first and everything else second. So, but yeah, about 9 years old, writing poems. And then after that, still writing poems, but then going into short stories a little bit later in my life. But I didn't really publish until I got out of the military, because that's when I had the time. So yeah, so now I'm doing short stories, mainly children's stories. I have a few inspirational manuscripts that I have not published yet, but a lot of it is children's stories. And I did end up putting the collective of poems in a poem in a book called Unleashed Voices, that was written over the span of my military career.
Now let's talk about your books a little bit. I did read that you give back to the community with the proceeds from your books. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. I've always been in the community. It's almost like a rub off from my mom, who did greater works in Philadelphia, feeding the homeless and just going out and just trying to make sure that they were okay. So I think, while I was in the military, every time I went home, to visit, she was pulling me, let's go do this in the community. So I've always had that uh, passion for helping. It wasn't so much really homeless back then because I wasn't thinking that way. It was just people who were in need. But now there's a title for folks as the less fortunate or homeless. So after I got out, I did a lot of community work while in the military. But then after I got out, to get rich on writing books, I'm not a celebrity. So then what do? You're getting a little bit of money here, a little bit of money here, but it's not $10,000, So it's like, what do you really do besides buying some more books? I figured I would give back. I do a lot of hygiene kits, snacks. I have a little mobile thing that I do. I go out once a week, and the proceeds of my books that are sold in the indie bookstore in Tampa goes to me making up those snack bags. And it's called Tiny Bites and Books. So I got little tiny bites, so like a snacks, and then I have books that I've either gotten donated or magazines. And, I just say, hey, would you like to read a book? Because most of the time people are just sitting around, and give them the snacks, give them a book, and I'm on my way to the next corner, as one would say, which I'm familiar with the Tampa Bay area. So at least I would say 75, if not 80% of the proceeds of my books go back to the community.
What a great idea.
To
do the books along with a snack and some other things. That's very important.
Right. Because, sometimes, I think everybody is out. A lot of people do many things. There's nonprofits everywhere, and everybody's doing, and they're also asking. So, and then they were like, should I give here? Should I give there? Should I give here? So I just said, it's not that I would not be begging. I do say, hey, this is what I do. If you want to help me, that'd be nice. But then I can't always rely on that. So I said, somewhere I'm going to have to rely on what I have. And that was my books to give back. So I thought that was the best way to do it.
I love this idea you have.
Thank you.
What do you think is the hardest challenges in writing or coming up with your ideas or getting your books out there?
Oh, well, one of them is I think they call it writer's block, I guess. Yeah. Right now, I'm in a writer's block right now because my first adult book that I want to publish, called Twisted Love, I want that to come out at Christmas. So I wrote it all up. Everything's fine. I read through it over and over and over and over and over again. I said, I think it's great. But then I start reading it again. That's what we got to stop doing, is keep reading it, because then it's like, no, it's really not finished. Or I could put something else in there. And I guess that's where I'm at right now. There's a piece there that I just know I need to put something before I really give it to someone else to read, so it can make sense. And so I've been stopped. I've already written it about 2 months ago. And I haven't gone back to it because I'm just like, it's just not coming. What should I actually put there? Or do I start all over again? I don't know, And I think the hardest thing is really reading your own work over and over and over again, and it never ending. You gotta end it at some point. End it already. And so somewhere I've dedicated next week to go ahead and not be around where there's distractions, and go ahead and take care of that piece. Just say, I have an ideal, and I just have to just put it in there. So that's kind of been a struggle for me, the writer's block, or not ending the story. You want to keep going on and on, but you gotta end it. You really, really do. One of the stories, I was just telling someone the other day, I'm helping someone write their first children's book. And I'm actually rewriting it because it don't make no sense. But I told him that I'm going to rewrite it, and not all of it, but I'm going to rewrite it, and then I'm going to give it back to you, and you take a look at it. But I had to tell that person, I said, I had a book called Home is Where the Honey Is, but it was first, the title was Two Sisters in the Field. And then I gave it to someone to edit and look at, and they were like, this don't make no sense. And so I was sad about it. I was like, it makes sense to me. But I reread it and it ended up coming out to be Home is Where the Honey Is. So the whole concept changed altogether. Different
Mhm.
characters, no more sisters, you know. And now it's a dad, a wife, and some honey and some bees, you know. I mean, it just all changed in the blink of an eye. So yeah, so I the characters can change just like that, as you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying there. Special Delivery was actually written by in a week. I was just sitting there watching July the 4th, watching the country music television channel, and I forgot his name. Tim McGraw was singing the song called Always Be Humble and Kind. And I was just sitting there and listening. I said, that's a great song. And for some strange reason, it made me feel just humble. I don't know. And my friends who had just had some dogs, Boston Terrier, that they loved their dogs so much. I don't know how it kind of connected, but I was like, I'm going to write a story about a Boston Terrier. I don't know. Did it connect? Not really, but it was making me feel, because they love their dog so much, it was just making me feel so, And that day I wrote that story, and in 30 days I went on and published it. So it's just kind of weird. Then there's others that it takes a long time, and then there's
Mhm.
others it's quick like that. So hardest time is marketing and promoting. I mean, I just learned how to constantly be putting stuff out on social media. Um, that's a lot of work sometimes. So you're just always, I just learned Instagram is a person's best friend. Just posting two or three, getting into groups and tagging them in hashtags. Oh my gosh. So I just learned it. Yeah. And several of these books have been out since 2000 and we'll just say 13. And it's not until like a year ago, or not even that, I'm gonna say a couple of months ago, we'll say this year, hashtags. Boom. I put those hashtags on there and I'm getting, you know, other people, from all kinds of who knows where,
Mhm.
knowing about my book. So I thought that was like hashtags. What is that?
I'm still learning all that too. I'm like, am I
Yes,
using the
yes.
right ones? Like,
Right. And I'm like, whoa, before I would get on the social media platform, I would only get, 10, 15, probably my friends with likes
Mhm.
who reviewed or saw it. With the hashtags, I'm getting 250. It's like, who are these people? I don't know. But they're, when it pops up that way. And then I'm just
Mhm.
like, oh my. So now I'm just a hashtag queen now. It's like, hey, I don't care, whatever. You know what I mean? So, but promoting and marketing is it's really tough, and you really want to learn it yourself, which I'm doing. But you can also pay for it as well. You can pay
Mhm.
for someone. But the thing is that everybody is into it. I get emails all the time. I can do this for you. I can do, and then you go all the way down to the bottom, and it costs money. And you're like, well, I'm a starving artist. What? I just started.
Yeah.
Now you want money and you want money and you want money and you want, it's like, whoa. And that's why, in a way, we have to learn it ourselves, put
Mhm.
on those four different hats, which I don't like, but I have to,
Yeah.
So
It
I
works.
think marketing and promoting is really, really, it's work. But once you get into it, I think you can have some fun with it. Especially
Mhm.
hashtags. I love it now. It's like, what hashtag can I put up now? Which one? Where I'm copying and pasting almost. So, yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Now,
it's a
do you
challenge.
have like a certain ritual you follow when you write? Do you go to a certain spot? Do you know?
Ooh, no, I don't. I mean, just recently, I've just moved in this general area, which is near the water, in the Palm Harbor, Florida area, and I go there, especially during the lockdown. I was able to sit there and just think and then come back home and write it down. Yeah, I think that's how that went. So, but other than that, I have sat in a car and looked at a tree, and I wrote a story called A Tree Wonderfully Made, actually, just by sitting. I think I was waiting for someone and I was in a parking lot and I was looking at a tree and, words were coming to me. So I just wrote, whatever, squirrels and a tree. I saw this and this, this. And then later on, when I go back to look at my notes, then I try to formulate a story, as one would say. So each one of my writings have come from, all of them have a message, but each one of them have come from something I have actually personally experienced. Especially a lot of the poems were, just people I met, and I was like, I took their words and made it into, like I said, a story, a short story, or a poem. So no real ritual. I just kind of like think. I tell people all the time, that's a story. When they tell me something, oh, that's a story. My child is experiencing, we'll say X, Y, and Z. I said, that's a story right there. You might be able to help someone else. So begin to write some stuff down. I got a bunch of little journals. I'm always handing them out. Hey, begin to write. Begin to write it down, write it down. So no ritual, just think and then come back later and go, yeah, and then later begin to write something. Yeah.
Where can we find your books at?
My books are available Amazon.com. It's a lovely platform, but then at some point you almost have to have a website. So there it is again. And when you learn how to make one yourself, and then there's free ones out there, you don't have to always use other people, or you can save your money. You know what I mean? So that, and some of that takes some research, but Amazon.com, that is our friend. www.overthebooks.com. My books are there as well. And that's really it. They say that they're out there, all over, and they could be. I've looked and I've seen some other, Barnes and Nobles when they had it. There was a Books a Million long time ago, but in the UK. But I don't really know. I didn't do it. So how they got there, I don't know. But they say that they are out there in other book retail places. I don't know that. I didn't do it. So I don't know. But I just stick with Amazon and my website as well. Yeah. Oh, also www.nataliemkennedy.com as well.
And I'll post your website in the description below too.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Right.
The final question, do you have any advice for new writers or up and coming writers, or somebody that, is interested in writing?
Well, I just did a writer's workshop for 4 young folks. And right now, all they're doing is writing. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to say, so what do you got? And how can we put it all together? Every time I go to many places, book fairs or pop-ups, someone always comes to me and says, I have a book. I want to write. I always wanted to. I says, well, what are you doing? Well, nothing really. Write it down. So I always say, come on, just write it down. Go ahead, write whatever it is. I mean, you have feelings, write it down. And I believe that's how it all begins, by us writing it down. Just keep it in your head. Not so much. Take it and write it down. So the young lady, 60 plus, who wrote her small children's story, she wrote it down. She wrote it down last February, and she's just been holding it around with her. So I met her about 2 months ago, and she said, I always wanted to write this children's book that I have. Here it is, And I was like, great, you wrote it down. So let's look at it now, So I think that is my first advice is write it down, write whatever it is, write it on a piece of paper, a napkin, whatever, put it all together. I still have my original pieces of writing on the back of a cardboard box, of something. I mean, really. And I still have those pieces, and some of them are tearing, and but I still keep them together because I just that goes, whoa, that's where it all began, and it makes me feel really, really good. So my advice is to begin to write down what you feel, and at some point, if you network or bump into the right person, you could probably get a book out of it. And I tell these other people, I tell them, I says, because they're like, I can write a children's book. And I says, look, there's a variety here. And some of them are only 10 pages, So what can you write? A few words, picture, a few words, picture. It's not really that difficult, really, if you have an idea, if you have some characters in mind, and color, obviously, for children's books, or self-care books, or for a cooking book. I mean, how much, people who make food all the time, boy, if they thought it was like the best in all the land, fall into the line and write that recipe down, or just put that, I just put stuff in food cookbook, don't have to be measured or nothing. I just throw this in and here it is,
Handful of that, a sprinkle of that. Yep.
Exactly. That could be it. A little bit of this cookbook. I don't know. But I think we all have a book. I tell everyone we all have a book in us, no matter what our lives have gone through. We all have something. If you really want to have something that is in print, hey, begin to write and research and do it and get it done. Yeah.
Well, Natalie,
Thank you.
I thank you for stopping by and chatting with me today. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, I appreciate this opportunity. I'm always excited. And of course, like I said, you give me an idea of helping others as well. So I think it's primo, as they would say in Hawaii. Do they? I don't know. Primo. Thank you so much. Yes, yes.